Will Rogers said one time, the one who wrote the Ten Commandments sure knowed what he was doing, 'cause even though they weren't always kept, they were never misunderstood. I don't know where the idea for this next poem came from, except for the fact that I hate a thief worse than anything. We have libraries full of law books, and about as many lawyers as there are laws, and we see crimes go virtually unpunished. Maybe it's time we went back to the law of the range. He rode into town on a steel gray stud, headed straight for the local saloon. As his long, lanky frame parted those swinging doors, he caught every eye in the room. He was dressed in black, from his hat to his boots, except for the gun that he wore, whose handles were like pearls on a black velvet cloth in the window of some jeweler's store. He glanced round the room, went straight to the bar, ordered a whiskey straight up, and a hush fell over the crowd as he turned and drank it down in one gulp. "I didn't come looking for trouble," he said, "but for 3 days I've been on the trail of tracking the thief who stole my black mare." That's her, tied in front to the rail. The saloon was full of strangers that night, drifters from everywhere, and no one bothered to notice which one had rode into town on the mare. But I imagine the culprit, whoever he was considering what he'd done, trying hard not to let it show, 'cause in these parts a horse thief gets hung. "That saddle she's wearing ain't mine," said the man. "I don't know to whom it belongs, but if you want it, you best get it, 'cause when I leave this town, I'm taking that mare along." No one in the crowd uttered a word. Dead silence as tension built, 'cause they knew whoever tried claiming that cack would sure be admitting his guilt. Everyone there stood froze in their tracks. Not a soul made a move to the door, while the stranger stood tall with his hand hanging loose beside that pearl-handled gun that he wore. He said, "One of you is a coward as well as a thief. Which one we may never know." Then he walked out the door, and he took out his knife, and he cut the latigo. Cut the bridle off the mare, and the saddle fell to the ground. Put a rope round her neck, and he mounted the stud and said, "I'll leave him to you," and left town. The entire crowd was out on the street, and they watched as he rode out of sight, and they looked at each other suspiciously as they went back to the barroom that night. Inside the saloon, a half-empty glass was sitting at the end of the bar. No one picked it up. Then the bartender noticed the back door to the place was ajar. They organized a posse, found him out back in a shed behind a pile of debris. Then they gave him a trial in a kangaroo court and hung him to a cottonwood tree. The laws of the range were simple back then. "Thou shalt not steal" was one, along with 9 others that you might recall, enforced with a rope and a gun. To this very day that saddle's still there, those bridle reins still tied to the rail. And if you happen to go inside this saloon, they'll probably tell you this tale about the stranger in black with the pearl-handled gun. And if you look out and back, you can see there's a piece of a rope still sways in the breeze from the limb of that cottonwood tree. Now, if you're wondering why it was never untied, why that saddle still lays where it fell, it's a graphic reminder to those tempted to steal that out back hangs a shortcut to hell. Barbaric, you say? Well, maybe so. But I can't help but think things might change if we paid more attention to those 10 Commandments and went back to the law of the range.